So he's just taking the left leg and lifting it straight up in the air, and that gets him a 3, right? And then our 4 or 5 test is bring it up in the air, and I'm just gonna press down. Don't let me push, right? 4 gives a little bit, 5 doesn't move at all right? 2, let's lay to your side. Ooh, I gave it away. I mean, I should have asked you guys the question, right? The book even shows just kind of grasping a hold, kind of in this position. And then again, you're just gonna bring it up like this. Again, if I show him how to do it the next time, I'm not gonna do bring it up like that. I'm just kind of guiding. Again, in his case, I'm really just kind of guiding the motion so he doesn't fall down into adduction, okay? Go.
Could you do number 3 like supine as well?
Could you do, like, you know, the only reason they,
Like this?
yeah, the only reason they do it like that sitting, just because it's directly against gravity. I thought you were gonna go straight leg raise there, which straight leg raise gets a little bit more like quad involved as well, but that's why they have it in the sitting. Would it be totally wrong? No, but again, once you get to 90, technically your gravity's helping you then, so that's why they have you there, because you're against gravity the whole way. So that's hip flexion. The one muscle that's a little bit, scoot off the edge. The one muscle that's that way, I'm sorry. The one muscle that's a little bit special here is the sartorius. The sartorius, we tell them to take their heel and bring it up their other side. That's the action of the sartorius, right? So if you're doing that type of motion, so it's a flexor, an external rotator, and an abductor, okay? The problem with this motion, so that gets you a 3. We can't really stabilize because our hands have to do 2 types of resistance, right? So stabilization is a little hard. If you think about the sartorius, it's a very long muscle, right? Very small. It's pretty common to have a little bit of weakness here. There's not a lot of probably 5 out of 5 strengthening with this. It's more 4 out of 5, but we'll see what happens here. So this hand, so if he comes up, so it's flexing and abducting. So this hand is going to be extending and adducting. This hand is going to be turning the internal rotation, so resisting the external rotation. So that's the motion. So first off, he's going to come up. If he can do the motion, I'm going to bring him down about halfway mid-range. I'm going to push down and in and out all at the same time. You're going to hold it right there, okay? Got it? So it's just that, all right? So I'm just trying to break that position, okay? So that's a 4 or 5, and then if we lay back on your back and then scoot up just a bit, scoot that way, sorry. 2 would be him doing that same motion like this, just kind of bringing it there, all right? That's a 2, right? Sartorius comes off the what? Yeah, ASIS. So if we're going to palpate, we might be able to get the palpation there and see if he starts to lift that up, we should be able to feel it right off the ASIS, okay? Got those 2? Hip extension, we can kind of tease out. So hip extensors are your glute max and your hamstring. We can kind of tease them out a little bit. I'll show you what I mean by that. Let's roll to your stomach. So first we're going to do like we learned it like week 2 with our leg just straight. If he lifts the leg straight in the air, that gives him a 3. Now I think, and I don't know, I tried to edit it out last night, but I don't know if does it still say on your paper 4 at your knee? 5 at the lower, okay, so I might have actually changed it. I thought I changed it and then it looks like it didn't save. On your paper last year and in some of the books, they used to say, we push here for a 4 and we push here for a 5. That's a concept that you can lose. You can use your longer lever arm, but just because I'm pushing here doesn't mean he gets a 4, and just because I'm pushing here doesn't mean he gets a 5. If he's stronger, I probably want to push down here, so that makes sense to be down here with a 5. You understand? It's more about breaking the person, meaning having them move, than where your hand is, okay? I could make it a 5 right here if I wanted to. It's just easier on myself to push down here to make it a 5. So lift your leg, hold steady, don't let me push it down. You know, again, no motion, he gets a 5, a little bit of give, he gets a 4. Hip extensors, usually you can get a little bit of give. We're in a very much mechanical advantage on that, all right? Before we go to the side, let's tease out the hamstring, and that would be if we want to isolate glute maximus, we just bend this up, and you lift it straight in the air. So that gives him a 3 if we're isolating glute max, and then let it down. And if we want to go for 4 or 5, obviously lift up again there. I'm going to hold here, don't let me push it down, okay? Both of those go to your side. We would do 2s on the side. And we already learned about palpation. We palpated the hamstring and the glute max in the first part of the day. So with that would be a 1. But it's this concept where we bring it straight back. If we're doing both of them together, that's the motion. Let's have you do it. Perfect. If I want to isolate, I'm bringing here, now bring back, that's kind of that donkey kick type of thing that we're talking about. So I wouldn't be doing a lot of that with an anterior hip replacement, at least initially. All right, so that's hip extension, that's glute max and hamstring, and the glute max isolation. Hip abduction, let's just stay right here. Again, those two muscles would be the glute medius and glute minimus. Very important muscle group for us, probably done incorrectly in the clinic more often than not, right? We got to get this bottom leg bent for stability, and we've got to get his leg back into what's neutral. Again, when they get back in neutral, again, almost everybody feels like their leg is behind them. I got to make sure I get him rolled over so he's not trying to cheat. There's lots of ways to compensate here. First way to compensate is to bring your leg forward. Second way to compensate is to roll your body backward. Third way to compensate would be to roll your toe up. So you got to watch a lot of things with this particular muscle. So we're here, stabilizing here. I'm going to have him lift his leg straight in the air. And again, I'm trying to get a good look as if it's straight up in the air. That gets him a 3. Again, I'm pushing here, hold it, don't let me push. That gets him as 4 or 5, okay? Roll back to your back. So alignment there. And now again, that's really important from an exercise perspective. That's one of those exercises that I don't walk away from. If I'm telling a person to do a quad set or a glute set or something like that, I can kind of walk away. Most people are going to end up doing that wrong when they get tired. And I need to kind of be there for that one, okay? So that's one I just don't walk away from much. I'm not saying never. So abduction, again, we still want that toe up. We'd probably have him on a table slide so he can slide. So a 2 would be this type of thing without me helping, right? So that type of motion, right? And then adductors, roll to your side again. The book shows it like this, and the reason they show it like this, they're saying if I always put your foot like this, and I straighten this guy down, and I lift your leg in the air, and then I push down. Book doesn't like that. They say you can stabilize a little bit too much here and push, right? So they've got doing this. I'll take that. That's how I learned it. I think that's probably how a lot of people do it. This is, I'm lifting this leg up. I'm kind of stabilizing. Now you're lifting this leg up. It's a little bit harder though. Hold steady, don't let me push it down. So that's a 3, right? If I push, it's a 4 or 5, all right? So you can do either technique will work, all right? And then back to your back. Same thing here. I'll usually get this leg out of the way. I'll put this leg out into position, and then I'll tell them to slide this leg in all the way across, even past midline. That gets me the 2. We good with that?
That's for the
AD. Add. Set up over the edge. Last 2 groups of muscles are your hip external rotators and your hip internal rotators. So in this position, again, we want to make sure it's coming from the hip, and we don't want to get a lot of knee or hip motion with it. So we really want to kind of really rotate right at the knee or right about the knee. So I'm not wanting to raise this leg up at all because that's sartorius, right? I'm wanting here and doing that for external rotation or that for internal rotation. That gets him as 3. If he goes to that position, again, my stabilization is here. I give a push down, or I bring him here and I give him a push out. The book talks about laying flat and just letting your leg fall out or letting your leg fall in for a 2. So laying supine, letting it fall out, or letting it fall in. That's not great, because you can imagine what's happening. There's gravity actually is helping me fall out. But at least we're not going against gravity. So 2 would be possibly partial range of motion in this position, or that laying down and letting it fall out with your legs straight. All right, I'm not sure which is a lot better there. All right, so let's do those.